Welcome to Your Infinite Health. Are you getting older?
Are you feeling it?
How would you like to do that in reverse?
We're your host,
Dr. Tripp
and LeNae.
We've run an integrative medicine practice for 13 years.
Together, we have 60 years of combined experience helping clients.
We've helped tens of thousands achieve success in health and live longer, happier lives.
In this show, we'll cover peer-reviewed and evidence-based integrative approaches to creating the health you've always wanted.
We also share professional experience we see in the field every day.
So if you're ready to feel, look, and live your best life, you're in the right place.
Welcome to Your Infinite Health podcast.
So I thought that since most people listening to this awesome and amazing podcast that we're launching don't know who we are, don't know why we are, or what Infinite Health is, or how that got started, we could create an origin story. I mean, I think we can go briefly on how we came to be, which would take us back to once upon a time, long, long ago, in 1998.
I was practicing medical oncology in Murfreesboro, Tennessee.
And I was a grifter who happened to know your IT guy at the time.
Right.
So I was dating an alcoholic with a lot of potential.
Shout out to Greg.
Right. No, Greg wasn't the alcoholic with a lot of potential.
Oh, no, yeah.
Greg was was your IT guy. But Greg knew I was going through this ridiculous relationship. And so he was like, I got a doctor you should meet. I think you'd have fun. It wouldn't be anything long-term or serious, so you should just know that. He's a bachelor. But I think y'all might have a good time together. And then after that conversation, I guess he created a situation where I was walking in to meet him for lunch. And as Greg and I were walking in, you and your buddy in full leathers, motorcycle leathers, we're walking out. And so there was this brief introduction. And then I tried to engage you in a conversation.
And I was stunned, really couldn't say much of anything. It was quite...
Well, he flatlined the attempt to have a conversation is what you did. I asked you an open-ended question and he gave a yes or no answer. So it was just dead in the water from the get-go. But then after that, I don't know how much time went between that time and the time I got the gumption up to call you.
It was the next day. It was
in the week, but it wasn't the next day because that is not cool. And I'm cool.
Next day or
I wouldn't have called you the next day.
Maybe.
Would have been within the week, but not the next day. Dating rules 101. So anyway, I called the office because I was really frustrated with this other guy kept standing me up. And so on a random whim, I called your office and fully expecting to have to leave a message because it was the middle of the day. You would have been in period.
And my staff was instructed not to take personal calls or people that we didn't know.
Yeah, but they put me right through.
Yes, I think there was a revolution up front with one of the leading receptionists.
The universe was just working in my...
Betty was her name, I think.
In my favor.
Was it Betty?
I don't know. Let's not drop names. Anyway, so they put me through, and I remember I was like, hey, this is LeNae. Greg introduced us the other day, and I was calling to see if you would like to go out sometime. And then much to my chagrin, this one starts laughing. He starts laughing, and I'm just banging my head on the wall in front of me going, stupid, what were you thinking? Because I was 25, single mom, bouncing between jobs because I was too smart for all those stupid jobs I kept getting. And calling this MD curing cancer. So anyway, after he gets done laughing, he says, yeah, sure.
Love to.
Yeah.
I was quite embarrassed.
You were embarrassed?
Well, yeah, I was stunned when we met at the little grill there and intimidated by how pretty you were. And then the fact that, you had called was just, and made it, and they patched you through to the back was even more, I had to say yes.
Thank God I would have died had you been ew. And then I had to prepare for the date. And then I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to talk about with this guy? But luckily at that date, you talked the whole time. Because I'm really good at deflecting. So I know how to I know people like to talk about themselves, and I know how to ask open-ended questions.
Open-ended question.
And so I got you to talk about yourself. It took all the pressure off of me, and it was great. And then from there, we had a date every day for like 6 weeks, I think.
Was really?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's how we met. And then dating was after 6 weeks. It was not all fun and games. I mean, there were some struggles there, but fast forward to 5 years later, we finally got married. And then just kind of like blowing through 5 years. But anyway, my stepfather at the time, when he learned that we were finally getting married, he came up to me and he had this stack, like it was a good 2 to 3 feet stack of white 3-ring binders. And because he had managed our oncology practice. And so when he learned we were getting married, he saw the opportunity to dump on me. And so he's like, here you go. I'm going back to New York. Good luck with that. And luckily, before we had gotten married, though, I had been in insurance sales, retail sales. I had gotten my paralegal certificate and had managed a couple of crazy lawyers down there in Florida for a while. So I knew how to run an office more or less. Although an oncology practice has its particular nuances. It's not run like any other medical practice at all. So for 2 years, I pretended I knew here and got away with that before I went to law school.
Right.
And then in that transition, while I'm at law school, second year started at Tulane in New Orleans. Meanwhile, you developed an oncology department with a multi-specialty group in Lake Charles, Louisiana. So we left Tennessee and ended up in Louisiana in around 2006, 2007, where you were building that practice and was amazingly successful, 0 to profitable in under 6 months, and did that for a couple of years.
Yeah, I was working for 3 to 3.5 oncologists.
You were producing at the level of
3.5 oncologists.
You much back then.
Yeah.
But let's go back a little bit because Henry, our oldest son, was born in 2005.
Yes, I was taking care of Henry while she was in law school. So
what's it? Although Mr. Mom, it's not your not your calling at all. Bless your heart. So we got married in 2003. Henry was born in 2005. I started law school in 2006. It took you about a year to get your medical license in Louisiana. And so you were playing Mr. Mom at that time. But prior to that, when we found out we were going to have Henry, I think is when you really got interested on a personal level in some of these, let's say they're anti-aging kind of modality.
Yeah, I think Henry's conception and the fact that I turned 50 years old at the same time was kind of an eye opener for me, and I really thought that at that point, I needed to do something to maintain my health and stay vibrant and healthy until my kids were grown through college at least, and I was thinking, wow, this is a big change. So I started looking at the good information on longevity and the information that was available at the time, which wasn't a lot, but aggressively pursued wellness pathways and those things. And basically, at that point in time, as we moved into Louisiana, I started incorporating some of that knowledge base with my oncology patients, which had some really amazingly positive results on their sense of well-being and their ability to tolerate therapy and those things. So I already had been putting it to use even in my oncology practice, and I think going from oncology to moving into integrative medicine was not so much a challenge, but really a natural evolution for us. Although there were some intercurrent issues there with the changing of reimbursement for oncologists and our ability to actually pay for chemotherapy drugs, the advent of Obamacare, and those things changed the independent practitioner's ability to really make a go of it.
As I recall, we were actually going deeper and deeper into debt because you were, bless your heart, subsidizing cancer care, and I was not willing to continue down that vein. And guys like you, because of those reimbursement changes on the national level, And us particular, because we had some challenges on a local level, but guys like you were either retiring early or going and getting jobs with larger institutions.
Hospitals, which is the current mode of kind of the model at this point.
Practice at this juncture. You were not in the multi-specialty clinic anymore. We were on our own and sitting between two competing local hospitals and MD Anderson. So there was out-migration. And
the hospitals had basically at that point bought the vast majority of the independent practitioners and incorporated them into their palette, so to speak, of practitioners to feed their own oncologists.
So I tried to get you jobs. I got you really good.
And I had good offers. I really did.
But he wouldn't take any of them because he knows his worth. But it wasn't a sustainable business model anymore. And so I remember I asked you, I was like, what does he really love to do? And your answer to that was, well, I really love to help my patients live longer. And I don't divine intelligence, I don't know. But I was like, okay, well, here's what we're going to do. Because you won't get a job, we're going to
divorce you if you spend any more money chemotherapy.
It's got to do. Yeah. So what we ended up doing was baby stepping out of medical oncology care and baby stepping into integrative approaches. And with the parameter of the modalities we brought in had to be peer reviewed and evidence based.
Correct.
Yeah. And so kind of evolutionary, we developed protocols for what we call a 4-pillar or a multi-pillar approach to health optimization, age reversal, and then we brought in regenerative medicine modalities. And that's kind of that's how we got together, and that's how Infinite Health was born. And so that was in 2013. And so we transitioned in Lake Charles, Louisiana, in around 2017, because I just love Lake Charles so much. We opened up a practice in New Orleans very organically and cautiously again. And so we've been in New Orleans since about 2017 and rocking and rolling ever since.
Yeah, I think also, I mean, since you finished law school at Tulane, that was you had friends here, and that was a kind of a little attraction as opposed to being there in Lake Charles. I'll stop there.
Yeah, my vibe is much more of a New Orleanian vibe, I guess. So, listeners, that's who we are and how we came to be and what we do. And Infinite Health has been helping people across the nation live longer, healthier, happier lives.
I think just as a philosophical point from the developmental stages, early on, that 4 pillars approach really evolved with the advent of me going and doing the regenerative thing and getting much more into stem cells and their derivatives and using them to enhance the approach, which has been really phenomenally successful with a number of patients. And it really is very gratifying to actually see those results and the impact it has on the quality of life and the overall ability of patients who have multiple degenerative processes and or sometimes even debilitating musculoskeletal problems to achieve, once again, a very active life and do things that they used to be doing and how they conceive their lives. And I think thinking about that conception, the mind-body component of the practice is truly a derivative that I credit LeNae for stimulating my interest there, because I think during some of those challenging times that we were having in Lake Charles, she became more interested in a number of issues that I actually kind of followed along with and actually helped us create the pathway that we use for our mind-body program, which has had amazing success with our participant patient clientele. It's really, really interesting. So that's been a real gratifying component of the practice also, is to see the ability of our patients, even though sophisticated or not, as they go through this book. It's our book, which was actually started out with just some handouts that I was giving the patients based on the principles of these universal laws, the results that just being the patient becoming mindful of what they want to create with their health, it just has a transformational benefit on the outcomes and what they can truly achieve.
Yeah, and I will definitely touch on more about that component in another episode. So we're going to have a great time because we're going to be talking about patient success stories and maybe some, unsuccessful patient stories, because not everybody is successful. Some of those modalities that we utilize, what we've seen across both the age reversal modalities, the stem cell modalities, but also, we'll talk about nutrition and hormones and physical fitness. And we'll talk about the book, our mind body coaching program, which is called Think and Live Longer and is available on Amazon. So,
Shameless.
Yeah, right. So definitely want to be tuning in. We're gonna, we've got a wealth of practical clinical application results to share that you can take anywhere you are and start applying them into your goals for achieving success in health. So thank you so much for your time. My name is LeNae.
I'm Dr. Tripp.
And until next time.
Thanks for subscribing to Your Infinite Health. I'm Dr. Tripp.
And I'm LeNae. Until next time, feel it, look it, and live it.